No, but the PET scan, especially when you're done, the PET scan is to kind of your indicator. Like, did we get it all?
That's right.
Well, where is this? And
it's kind of a sugar mix, right? So they put that in your body, and because cancer will gravitate to sugar, yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting how they figured all that out,
But it just was. I think of the people that were always involved, and there was always laughter.
Yeah.
There was always laughter, and I know that I brought that in. I presented that energy because, I feel for caretakers that take care of terminally ill or, metastatic type cancers and stuff. I'm sure it must be hard on them because they're constantly dealing with somebody that's maybe not getting better.
Yeah.
And so here I come in. I'm like, who wants some M&Ms? I'm here. Me and Tina are here, kind of a thing. And when it came time to ring the bell, there's the victory bell when you're done with your
all
treatments.
your treatment, yeah.
They literally are so excited for you. Like I'm sure it feels like their victory too, because they're just so invested in your
getting
care.
better. Yeah.
But I've watched you over the years, Camille, and even if it's trauma with a divorce or the loss of a loved one, it still is the same feeling.
Yeah.
It's still the same process. It's not different. Cancer's no different than, what your trauma is.
Yeah. Well, it's something that you really don't have a lot of control over. You feel helpless. You feel powerless to it, right? So any situation in life that's going on that you don't have a lot of control over, it's gonna take you down, and that's kind of by design. When we lose power, when we lose control over things, we feel chaotic. We feel out of control. Mm-hmm. And that out of control feeling is, again, that's what you fought against. You're not going to feel out of control here.
Yeah, and I think I grew up religious. It wasn't that I got to meet Jesus when I had cancer. I knew Jesus and I were close before I had cancer, but but it became you healed people because you never saw them sick. You saw them in their wellness.
That's right. That's right.
And that was really what I said to my family was, do not see me sick.
Right.
You see me the way Christ saw others. You see me in my wellness, And so when you have to get to a point, no matter what you're going through, that you can talk to yourself, not beat up on yourself, but you can encourage yourself. Mm-hmm. There were times, here I'm on a medication to try to help me sleep, but I had, when you have chemo, you have bone pain.
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of had restless leg syndrome, and so I was awake, but you felt the drug of a sleep aid, but you're wide awake, and you're in pain. And I would get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and wake up, and I'm like on the floor in a weird position. I had blacked out, and in my head, once I kind of came to, I was like, you got this?
It's like, just kidding.
Get your ass off the ground. You got this, And I just kind of crawl myself back into bed like, I don't know what I just hit, but, nobody else was there. I'm all by myself, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
If you can't talk yourself through it.
Yeah.
If you can't talk yourself with Christ through it.
That's it.
You gotta get to that point.
Well, your mental toughness is going to be everything at some point, right? And so if you really can't stay sane in these moments, you'll crash. And a lot of people don't have the strength mentally to pull through these things.
And you know what? I don't know how to prepare you for that. Yeah. But what I can say is, if you make a choice from the beginning that you are not going to be labeled at whatever it is, a divorced woman, a widowed man, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's not going to give you the stigma.
No, you create your own label and you buy into whatever that is. So my whole thing was, I'm whole and healthy. I am whole and healthy. Mm-hmm. I got a little bit of cancer going on right now. Yeah, and I'm going to open up the door. Y'all leave whatever you want to, but I am whole and healthy. And I kept thinking about the billions of new cells that I get every day that don't have cancer.
That's right.
And I gave gratitude for those cells. And I was like, hey, cells, good morning. Go do what you need to do, kind of a thing. And I think that's the way we have to be with our hearts.
Yeah.
But, you really, you have to know your strengths. I think sometimes in life, you build your strengths before things happen. If you wait till the moment when things happen, you may not be strong enough.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that, I think our misery becomes our ministry, and things happen to us, so it is designed, I think, to strengthen us and build us and challenge us. And you look at your history and what you went through in your world. There's a lot of things you had to kind of grin and bear, in your world. And I do think that you were prepared. I think you had been prepared for a long time for a moment like that. And you stepped into your own power and you chose how you were going to handle it. And I do think that some people can do that. Some people have a harder time doing that. But in the world, when things happen, it does create a moment of shock. And if there's a trauma, there's a moment of shock. And in that moment of shock, it literally puts you in a place of being frozen and you can't think. You're in fight or flight. The amygdala is the middle part of your brain. And when that amygdala is hijacked by some sort of event, you're in a panic. And so there's not really like a long thought out process. It didn't sound like you let that happen to yourself. You prevented a shock from taking you down.
Yeah.
You see that?
It was, when I hung up from Dr. Tina, it was like, it's so funny. I knew that I had the biopsy done and all this kind of stuff, but never in my mind was like, it's probably cancer. To me, I'm like, y'all, I've had 5 babies. It's probably some, calcium, whatever. I never went there. So when I got the phone call, I was like,
what the? Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? And then they were like, so you need to have surgery ASAP. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
Okay. And I just remember I even said to the anesthesiologist, I know you're cleaning out my garage and stuff, but I could really love a CO2 facial. Could you do that while you're there?
And they were going, oh,
they were like, you do know you have cancer. And I go, okay, but I'm going to lose my hair and I'd like to have my skin looking as best as it can, know.
That's right.
But I remember going to the hospital that day, and it was in February, and it was one of those days where all the roads were closed. And I was late. I was late getting to the hospital, and I was so nervous. I was like, I have to have my surgery. They're like, hey, your cancer's growing super fast, so you need to get this out, And so anyway, I was just like, okay, calling the hospital. I'm still coming, just so you know, I'm here,
Traffic.
But if you go into things with an open heart and an open mind, knowing that you are taken care of, the synchronicities of heaven will actually just unfold before you.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that what you can know is you can have peace in the trauma. You can have reassurance in your trauma. You can have a knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's the peace of Christ, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That comes in. Even when people deal with death of a loved one or death of somebody, you can still have all of that peace.
Yeah.
Because, one thing I kind of came to grips with cancer is death is there we're all going to die,
That's right.
And I wasn't wanting to die, but I thought, but if I do, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like I know where I'm going. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think when people die, we have to know they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss them.
Yeah.
I hate this feeling, but they're okay.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that the cycle of life? And I think when something shocking and traumatic happens that is potentially life-threatening like that, it seems to put everything in perspective.
Yeah.
And so the life that you were living is over, yet what's ahead of you is by design, and it feels fated and destined in a way, and there's no getting out of it. You go through it, but it does seem to stop all the noise in your head, and you get committed and focused to making something new happen, and you influence it the best you can.
You have to.
Yes.
You do, especially if you have a terminal disease and you want to get better.
Yes.
Or you have a terminal sadness and you want to get better.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to make that choice.
Yep.
You have to choose your thoughts. You have to choose how you want to feel every day. Not just overall, in a year from now I'm going to feel better. You make these choices, Camille, and you know this. how do I want to feel? How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this, you know? And the thing about it is, when you have a disease, it is your choice.
Yep.
You know, it is your choice. And to me, I wanted to be healed as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I did not want to drag this out. I did not want to be sick longer than I had to, and I didn't want to do that to my kids.
That's right.
So to me, it was like, all right, all right, here's my plan. This is what we're doing, you know. And my kids were like, almost feeling a little guilty. Like, shouldn't we be feeling sad and bad, you know, mad or any of that kind of stuff? I was like, no, we're not. We're having tacos tonight.
Treat me no different.
Kind of a thing.
That's right.
And so, you know, it's hard. You know, here's the thing with trauma. It doesn't just affect the person that it's affecting.
No, it affects the witness. Someone who's witnessing it, anyone witnessing it. And it could be a nurse, it could be a doctor, it could be your children, it could be anybody. But you're right, trauma affects everybody.
Yeah.
That's right.
And, you know, I think one of the ways, if you're the one that has the trauma, you can help guide people on how they can feel better themselves, comfort them, and also how they can help you.
Yeah.
You know, and so to me, Cade, my son, got a puppy right before he got a puppy like November, and I found out I had cancer in January, and so, you know, I was like, bring that little old dog and put him on the bed, and you know, it was just like it was distraction and it was happiness. Joy. And you just have to find like what is it that's going to shift your mind. Camille and I talk all the time on Starting Over about change your thoughts.
Yep. Create a new intention, make a new intention, how you're going to experience it, how you're going to choose it. Yeah, that's right.
And so really, to me, it was like, okay, if I wanted to sit and think about cancer all day long, I could. And where's that going to get me?
Yeah.
And a lot of that time I'm in bed. And so I was like, Pinterest became my best friend.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you know, let me just tell you guys, daydreaming is manifesting with your eyes open. And so when you can fixate on something that feels good, maybe you love recipes, maybe you love hot rods, maybe you love gardening. I don't care what it is. There's a genre for everything on Pinterest, y'all. Pinterest, you need to pay me because I have spoken.
You market that.
I have spoken your praises for a year and a half now. But when you have to take yourself to a place that feels better. That's the only way you create that momentum.
That's right.
Of getting better and getting what you want and feeling better. That's the only way. You cannot dwell in what is fear.
Well, and honestly, getting through it, you're going through it no matter what. So you can choose a positive or a negative experience.
Yeah.
So I think that ultimately an attitude of gratitude and all that, and being grateful for the cancer, being grateful for what you're going through, being grateful for the treatment, that's how you chose to deal with that. And I think people that can take that on, when something happens that does stop the world in a way, your world quits spinning normally, what your old normal was, and there's a new normal, I think that's time to reassess, take inventory, and choose newly because you just turned directions. So life changed, and you are better for it.
Thank you. I know that. But, you know, for all of you going through something, or, you know, maybe trauma's going to come to you. I don't know. I hope not. But, you know, just know that the power of your mind is the best medicine that can happen. Because when you think in the way that you want to think, now we can have the power of our mind and it can bring all the devastation as well.
Yeah.
I could have lived in fear. I could have read every statistic and every side effect, and I could have predicted, oh my gosh, I'm going to be throwing up for, 5 days after chemo. I could have predicted all that, and it could have come, and I would have been like, see, this is what happens when you have cancer. Right. But, to me, it was like, no, like, I don't want to hear, even my doctors, I said, I don't want to hear.
No negativity. No.
I don't want to hear it. Well, let's just deal with whatever happens to me, but I don't want to project.
Yeah.
And I don't want you telling me what I may or may not go through. Now, I know you've got some legal stuff that you probably got to
You got to read
cover,
that script, yeah.
But I'm just going to, if you see my eyes glaze over, it's because I'm tuning you out right now.
Yeah.
And they laughed about it, but I was like, I'm really actually very serious. Mm-hmm. And you go in and they're like, okay, so where's your pain management and where's your level? How you feeling right now? I'm like, I'm great. Mm-hmm. I'm great. And they're like, well, no, you're not. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm great.
Yeah.